This is Coffee, Country, and Cody.
Well, it's official. Yes, we are. We've been here for like 6 weeks with a soft opening in our A-Cuff studio home, A-Cuff house here on the Grand Ole Opry Plaza. But yesterday, with the help of our executive chair of the board of directors, Ryman Hospitality Properties, Colin V. Reed.
He doesn't just like Big Boss Man. That seems like it'd be much easier to roll off.
Did you try it on him yesterday?
I think he'd be happy with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
That feels like that should be on an apron.
Big Boss Man?
Yeah.
And certainly a big boss man at the Grand Ole Opry and in the Country Music Hall of Fame, Vince Gill. They were here to make it official, so we have been christened. It is on, people.
Someone really should have brought a big thing of champagne and hit the side of the building or something.
There were several. Ribbon cutting was talked about, champagne breaking was talked, all that sort of stuff, and it was like, let's just have it inside.
Okay.
And nothing will go wrong.
No, there was champagne had outside for sure, but we just weren't smashing it though. So
I am a little shocked that we didn't do a ribbon. Maybe we'll just do a ribbon. All three of us. We'll cut it.
All right.
It'll be a little anticlimactic, but we'll have that moment.
Between the two consoles, and we'll do that.
I got a ribbon.
You know what we should have done? We should have broken a record. We should have had a record and then smashed it.
Okay, that seems sacrilegious.
That's true. Never mind.
Or,
bad idea.
I got it.
That's like smashing a guitar. I kind of feel bad about that.
I did that once.
Really? Why?
At the Hard Rock Cafe. They were doing the reopening after the flood, and they did a guitar smash, and they invited me out. They gave me a guitar, and I smashed it. I still have it. It's like a half guitar.
John Hyatt has a great song called Perfectly Good Guitar, and it's about people smashing guitars. It's such a great song.
I didn't want to, but they asked me to.
Before Garth did it, Black Oak, Arkansas, Jim Dandy, that used to be their closing move. It was the smashing of the guitar.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then later, Garth did that for a while. Mm-hmm. But I can just see back at the entrance hallway there, we could do like Homecoming, where they run through. We could do that.
I like that. Yeah. Pom-poms, little pomp and circumstance. We like all of that.
Speaking of Vince Gill being here for that, he left here, went to the Grand Ole Opry.
Yep.
And we've got Vince Gill and Patty Loveless, and a moment in time when the Opry welcomed them and Go Rest High on That Mountain with Vince and Patty. That's coming up here in just a little bit. Entertainment, top stories.
Yeah, we're talking about Cody Johnson. We love him. He loves you right back. And I'm going to tell you a tidbit that he said that I think every new artist should listen to very closely. This is some really good information for anybody that wants to be an entertainer moving forward. Also, Blake gearing up for deer season, not the same way I do. And Lainey Wilson has new jewelry that she's launching. So again, I'm helping you spend your hard-earned dollars. One day it's Dolly and the next day it's Lainey.
Called it Slipnote, as I recall. I don't know if he came up with that title or not, but Jason Coleman, welcome to Coffee, Country, and Cody. Your famous grandfather, Hall of Famer Floyd Kramer with Patsy Cline, doing crazy this morning.
That's right. So good to be here in your new studio. Man, this is just gorgeous. Glad to
Did we treat
here.
you well last night? Was our hospitality of your liking?
It was to my standard. Yes, it was a fantastic night. I was glad to get to be here. Y'all had Vince here last night. Was he the last one to be here on this stage?
Yes.
So in a way, I could say that Vince Gill has opened for me here,
That's
right?
Nice.
Technically,
well
isn't that true?
If you don't spin that, man, you ain't nobody. Not in this town.
No, Vince was awesome. I mean, as always, but it's just, if folks are around, you got to come visit the studio. It's amazing, and we got the view here, the Opry House. I mean, you just can't beat it. So I'm just tickled for y'all, and I just still pinch myself to think that my music's here on WSM2 Sunday nights. It's really. I don't know if y'all have gotten used to it yet. You're here every single day to actually be on WSM. But for me, when I just happen to be in the car or just hop on my phone on Sunday nights for the Jason Coleman show, it's still like, that's me on WSM every week. So it's
8 o'clock
cool.
Too on Sunday
8 o'clock,
night, so
yeah, Sunday nights.
Now, how old is your little one now?
Mr. Avery just started second grade. He just turned 7 years old.
Wow.
He's still playing piano, keeps us all on our toes. So
does he understand, like when he listens to the radio show, does he get the fact that dad has a radio show and it's different than what other kids' dads do?
I don't think so. I think because all he's ever known is me not just playing piano and coming to concerts, and like he gets when there's a crowd and everything, but I don't think he really understands. I mean, how could you when you're just a kid, the difference between when I'm on the radio or when he sees me online or when he hears me just when we pull up my music or even my granddad's just on Siri or on anything else, and there's dad again playing piano. For him, it's just he didn't know who's listening when and how, but that's probably for the best. He just
Yeah.
knows I'm always around playing piano.
Now, as the parent of a 6th grader, I'm going to warn you that you've got about 2 years left when you can still actually help with homework.
Right.
Because once they get to 4th or 5th, you're going to have to study to help with the homework because you won't get it anymore.
Not
So,
looking forward to that.
Yeah.
I know. I still can handle 2nd grade.
You'll
I
be
think,
fine
but
this
we're-
year.
we're
No pressure yet, but
4th
it's
grade
coming
math,
though.
man.
rapidly
It's
approaching.
coming.
Fourth
Yeah,
grade
point of no
math.
return.
Just a couple of minutes ago, a text from my daughter who said that our grandson, who's 2 years old, he'll be 3 in December, that Isaiah was in the car seat on the way to pre-K, and about 3 minutes into the commute, with her listening to the radio, she hears, Popo. Popo.
Oh, so we realize it's you.
Yeah, he made the connection.
Well, I have the very funny story. My daughter grew up when I was doing TV, and when she went to preschool, she said, "What channel is your mom on?" She just thought everybody's parents had their own channel they can watch. So I wondered if your son was like, "So, what station's your dad playing on
Exactly.
today?"
That's all he's ever known. And all he's ever known is seeing himself on these things too. And I run the Jason Coleman show.
Yeah.
I run him on YouTube and Facebook and all that. And he joins me for songs almost every single episode. And so he's used to just seeing himself on screen too. And probably wonders, what are his friends doing? Why aren't y'all on TV
Yeah,
all the
what
time?
channel are
curious.
you on?
What's your problem?
At what point do you realize, oh, my granddad is the big cat daddy of the piano in this town, along with
Right.
Pig Robbins? Of course, they paralleled
Yeah.
each other during a period of time in the recording industry in this town.
For sure. I mean, for me, and he passed away, Granddad did, when I was 12. So, I never had the Floyd Kramer moment as a kid to know that he was who he was. It really, after he passed, I was, I guess, 18 when he was inducted into the Country Music Hall of Fame and the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in the same year, back in 2003. And that was the point, as I got into my teenage years and even just into an adult and was playing more myself and come to realize the impact that he had on country music and beyond is just it's tremendous. And now it's been almost 27 years now since he passed, and I'm still doing what I'm doing to sort of keep his style, that slip note and all that alive.
And did he come up with that name?
I guess so. He, it started "Please Help Me I'm Falling" was the first song, the Hank Lachlan record that he had that style, and he called it that because he said it's like you start on one note, you play the wrong note first, and then you slip up to the correct note, and it gave it that little twang that then just sort of became his signature sound, and so all he was doing is making the piano sound like a steel guitar or a fiddle, because on those instruments you can slide, you can bend the strings, you can slide and bend the keys, but on a piano you just got your individual keys that you can't slide around. So he made the piano sound like those other kind of country instruments, and like you say, it was in the late 50s and 60s. If it wasn't Floyd Kramer, it was Pig, and it's still today. I'm still hearing songs that I think by now I have a pretty good handle on what all he recorded on and what he was a part of, but it still blows my mind to hear a new song by just recently I discovered, maybe I should have known this, that on Dolly's RCA first record, it was Granddad playing on some of those songs for her, and so it's just it still surprises me just all that he was a part of during that time.
And we talked about a touring group that he was a part of, and if you would speak to that, but it was Chet Atkins, Boots Randolph, Danny Davis on occasion, and your granddad, of course, on piano.
Yeah, still today I'll have folks that went to they called it the Masters Festival of Music was Floyd and Chet and Boots, and they toured all through the 60s and 70s especially, and people now, even that'll come to some of my shows, will say, I saw your granddad back with Chet and Boots in the 70s, and those are some of the best shows you could ever ask for. And then, of course, they too are part of the $1 Million Band on Hee Haw for many years. Charlie McCoy leading the group there, alongside, talk about the best musicians you could ask for on one stage, and Charlie McCoy's told me they'd get together, they wouldn't hardly rehearse, they'd talk ahead of the song and just say, Chet's going to do that verse, I'll do this verse, Granddad Floyd will do this verse, and they just would do it and make it work. And that's the very best of the best. Those videos are fun I'll come across online some every now and then, an old Hee Haw video, and it's just amazing to watch the guys at work.
Well, Main Street and the Variety on Main show in the heart of downtown Franklin. It's Franklin Theater. And Kelly, I think you guys were talking off the air. He's never played that stage,
That's
right?
surprising to me.
I know I've been to the Franklin Theater, and of course, many folks here around Nashville I know have been to many events there, but I never have been on the stage. So I'm looking forward tonight joining our friend Mandy Barnett, Incomparable, and Monica Ramey have got this awesome show. It's once a month, Variety on Main, at the Franklin Theater. And variety is the key word. I'll be there playing some songs. I'm joining Mandy on Crazy, among other things, here tonight as well. But we've got, I think, acts of all ages here tonight. They really putting the focus on having a variety of different acts. And, oh, by the way, Crystal Gale's there tonight as well. So,
Really?
yeah, so it's going to be a lot of fun. I think folks can get tickets, franklintheater.com, or just show up tonight at 7 p.m. downtown. But it's going to be an awesome night.
Yeah, another great voice, Val Story, is going to be there tonight as
Oh,
well.
yeah, absolutely,
Val's
yes.
fantastic. So, yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. The Biscuit Eaters.
Biscuit Eaters.
Yeah.
I
think
don't know
it's a
them.
young bluegrass group.
Yep.
So
I love that.
I know.
That's super
I was hoping for
fun.
real biscuits, but we'll settle for bluegrass, I
Well,
guess.
Puckett's is right around
I was
the
going to
corner.
say, you got a lot of good food options
Yeah,
right around the
Puckett's is
corner.
there, Merity's is there. Trust me, I've eaten it all of them. Have fun tonight.
Yeah, it's going to be
And
great.
we didn't plan it this way. It's always better to be lucky than good in this business. On this date in 1961, Patsy Cline recorded her version of Willie Nelson's Crazy,
Would you believe
which
that?
we opened a segment. We did
It
not
was
plan this.
today.
We didn't either. Mandy, I was talking to her yesterday, and she said the same thing, that somehow, the stars just seem to align sometimes.
And the
so-
original working title? Anybody?
I know it. Stupid?
Yep.
Can you
I'm
believe?
stupid.
Oh, wow.
Oh, stupid.
Yeah.
Who made who suggested Crazy?
I don't know. Do you know, Bill,
I don't
where
know
that
the
came
backstory
along?
on why he changed it. Maybe he did. Maybe he just got to think about that. This works better. Or
Stupid.
Farron or somebody may have said something. You know what would be better if he went with Crazy instead of Stupid.
I don't know. Could it?
But the Charlie Dick, her husband, apparently heard it on the jukebox at Tootsie's, heard Willie's version, and went back home and said, hey, you need to cut this song. You need to find out more about this song. Cut this song called Crazy.
Wow. That is
Isn't it the most played jukebox song of all time? I think Crazy is.
I wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah, I believe so. And Floyd Kramer leaned it in and taking it out.
I don't know. In the publishing world, it's Gentle on My Mind.
Oh, yeah.
Well, we're talking about entertainment headlines this morning, and Cody Johnson, man, if you've seen him live on stage, you know he is just incredible. And entertainer's entertainer. I said, like, the first or second time I ever saw him perform live, I said, he will be Entertainer of the Year one day. I don't know when, I don't know how, but it's going to happen. He's just that good. But the interesting thing is, he's playing to all of these really big places, tons of people. He said he actually prefers that. Take a listen.
It's harder to play a bar. It's harder to play in front of 15 people than it is in front of 75,000. I feel like the energy from a stadium show can sometimes overtake an artist. But for me personally, I try to look everyone in the eye. If I shake your hand, I'll look you in the eye. We're out here shaking hands. And whether they're in the top, the bottom, or the back, I want everyone to know that I looked at you. I sang to you tonight, no matter where your seat was. And I think that's the key to looking and acting like you feel at home on a big stage.
Wow. Isn't that a great piece of advice for anyone who's out there entertaining? Just know that you are singing to each and every one of those people and that you're looking them in the eye and that they feel seen when you're up there singing.
And on the nights when a place isn't packed, Charlie Daniels said,
Never look at the empty seats.
That's right.
That's right. Always sing to the people that are there. So if you want to see Cody, he is out on tour right now. He still has a few stops. He's got one in Rapid City, South Dakota, Billings, Montana, and Bossier City, Louisiana. You can see all the dates. Grab those tickets now, CodyJohnsonmusic.com. And he is just absolutely on fire when he's on stage. Well, Blake is not on stage. He's up in a deer stand, or at least he will be very soon. He posted something on social media saying, hey, I'm getting ready for hunting season. I got a new Kubota. Probably gonna say this might be either an ad for Kubota and a sneaky ad.
I asked him, I said, what's the deal with Kubota? He said, they said, we'll give you a tractor if you find a way to plug us on social
There
media
it
from
is.
time to time.
Now it all makes sense. Yeah.
So the next thing we see is plowed, unplowed.
Right. And he wasn't talking about himself. He was talking about his field.
My Kubota kicks, that sort of stuff.
There it
he's posting,
is.
So.
Well, he now has their little RTV, UTV, one of those smaller ones, People, I think it's a mule or something. I forgot what they call it. But anyway, he's got one of those. He has it all loaded down. He said, look at this. Deer, gear, and beer.
Oh, and firearms.
If that isn't the name of his next single, I will be absolutely shocked. He and I have very different opinions when it comes to this. I have a family of 5 deer that come to my backyard and I feed them. Yeah. And then it just dawned on me, I'm feeding them the same stuff he's probably attracting them with. So maybe that's not smart, but they live on a golf course, so nobody's shooting anything. In
just
the golf
don't
course.
invite them over.
It's okay. Yeah, I love you, Blake, but not
could
for this.
go wrong.
It can go very wrong.
Their biggest hazard is an errant tee shot,
Right.
Yeah.
If they get
Which
hit,
could do some damage.
It could hurt,
yeah.
but I don't think it's going to take them out. Okay, Lainey Wilson has collaborated with one of my favorite jewelry lines. It's our friends Kendra Scott. So if you've been around for a while, you know Kendra Scott, based in Texas. She's incredible, an entrepreneur. She started this business on her own and bootstrapped it all the way through. And now she is one of the biggest jewelry brands out there. Well, Lainey has teamed up with her for the Whirlwind Jewelry Collection. Named after the forthcoming album, which comes out this week, she said it pays homage to strong women who dream and chase their passions. Now listen to this. This is great. This got me hook, line, and sinker. The collection is for those with ambitions bigger than their hometown. It's for the woman who demands more and then some. It's for those who feel at home under a full moon or on an open highway, and for those with a song in their heart waiting for it to be set free. Here's to the trailblazers.
Oh, so poetic. It just means for those for whom this is out of your price range.
Well,
But
I
it sounds
don't know.
so great when you read that. Read the opening line. What's the opening line?
The collection for those with ambitions bigger than their hometown.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I love it. I mean, I'm gonna. She got me. She got me. I'm in. It's actually going live August 23rd. So coming up, same day that her album comes out. You can find it 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Central Time. It's going to be on Kendra Scott's website. So I would suggest that you log on early because everything that Lainey does sells out so quickly. Remember, I didn't get the tumbler because it was gone.
Oh, the Stanley tumbler.
Yeah, still
So
mad about
what
that.
would be your jewelry weakness? Is it a necklace? Is it a ring?
Diamonds.
Watch?
Earrings.
Bracelet? Earrings?
Earrings.
Okay.
One more quick story for you. Jordan Davis on tour. What's he do backstage? Everybody says, you know, it's crazy backstage at these concerts. No, he's actually on his bus playing Mario Kart. So if he challenges you to a game of Mario Kart, don't go there. He's probably going to win.
Pool sharks and Mario Kart sharks. Kind of the same breed. This is Coffee, Country, and Cody. Right back.
This is Coffee, Country, and Cody.
I mentioned that Zach Meadows was coming to see us, and he just sat down on the stage. We talked about the christening of our studio officially yesterday after a soft opening for about 6 weeks. Had a big celebration on National Radio Day yesterday, a tradition that goes back to National Life and Accident Insurance Company's idea, October the 5th, 1925, to start a thing called WSM Radio, and then shortly after that, old-time tunes with Uncle Jimmy Thompson and the Solemn Old Judds, and then it was the barn dance that in name became the Grand Ole Opry in 1927, and Wood from the Ryman Auditorium, our most famous former home,
That's right.
certainly, is where Zach Meadows is sitting right now. Welcome to Coffee, Country, and Cody.
He just looked down like, oh,
No pressure.
good to see you.
Likewise. Thank you guys for having me.
Thanks for coming in. So let's talk about what you started as with music. Where did it hit you? How old were you?
I was a theater kid.
Oh, yay!
What was your
Theater kids are my favorite.
biggest starring role?
High School Musical, believe it or not. The High School Musical Junior, they didn't have the rights to the actual play.
If
So,
I threw you a basketball right now, could you still get your head in the game?
I still play basketball, actually, as a matter of fact. So, yes.
So on
Kelly
top
is
of
raising
this.
a theater kid,
I have
so
a theater
we're
kid.
truly hit home now.
We've
so.
done High School Musical Junior 4 times now.
I did High School Musical Junior 1 and 2
Thank you. Yeah.
Secured the lead.
So
both
take that.
times.
Yeah.
What else you got?
Yeah, I know. Well, we've done 1 and 2. I had Sharpay. Mine was Sharpay, so
Yeah.
fun role. That's
Incredible.
amazing. But you know, the fun thing about that is it teaches you so many life lessons because it's performance, it's using your voice, it's
Yeah.
musicality, it's dance, it's stuff that you're gonna keep forever.
Theater was such a good introduction to music. It's kind of where I discovered, that I liked to sing to begin with. And as I started to distance myself from theater, I started getting into like solo performing. I used to sing all around like my hometown at city events and talent shows as a kid. So, and I got really into playing piano as a kid. And, just as I got older, I started trying out new instruments, and it kind of just led me to where I am now.
Musical parents?
musical father, kind of. You know, he was in bands and stuff, and he plays. He didn't really ever stick with it, but yeah, he did. He bought me my first guitar and helped me buy my first keyboard and stuff.
So Florida was home growing up, is that right?
Florida, Central Florida. Yeah, I was born and raised in Orlando.
Oh, that's unicorn.
The house of the mouse, man.
Yeah. I was there in the mid '80s at WHOO radio, and so I'm very familiar with that market area and all things Central Florida.
Yeah, I still go back from time to time. I try to go at least a couple times a year. All my family and friends are still down there. So
Yeah.
Do you still get the Disney Florida discount?
no, not anymore. No, ever since I had to switch my license.
I was going to have you
around.
buy a few tickets for me if you
I
did.
know.
It's a nice savings there. So-
I used to save so much money as
I
a
kid you, yeah.
Florida resident.
Yeah.
Did you ever have aspirations of working for Disney? I mean, it's right there.
I used to play at Disney from time to time with Disney property like House of Blues. They have it out there, and I would perform sometimes for like a lunch hour or something. A couple of the restaurants around there. I used to do, like in my early 20s, as soon as I turned 21, I was able to play in bars finally. So I started doing cover gigs and just worked my way through the scene into working for Disney events from time to time.
Well, that's fun.
Yeah, I lived in Astatoula and worked in Orlando, and there was Okahumpka and Umatilla and all these great names that are native to Central
There's
Florida.
there's a lot. I was raised in Seminole County.
Okay.
Yeah, very familiar.
So you make the transition to a hotbed of entertainment culture and arts culture, Asheville, North Carolina. At some point.
Funny enough, right before COVID, a couple months before COVID hit, I moved to Asheville, North Carolina. It was they had a songwriter scene, that just kind of focused a lot more on the kind of music that I was starting to transition towards. I really started to find my sound in that Americana world. In Asheville, it is so eclectic with bluegrass, singer-songwriter, folk, Americana country. It's very rich in its culture. So it had kind of, exactly what I was looking for. And it was familiar. I used to go there all the time as a kid. I grew up visiting the Carolinas and stuff.
There's family vacation spot.
A lot of family vacations, a lot of trips to the Smokies growing up. So it always felt like a home away from home, I say,
Did you ever think about Dollywood?
Never been to Dollywood. No, I've been to Gatlinburg and Pigeon Forge so many times too, and I've never been to Dollywood. It's a shame.
She could be listening.
I was going to say,
Okay, I've been to Dollywood 100 times.
Get her on the phone. We got to get him there.
Really, as a matter of fact, scratch that.
So when you started songwriting, did the sound that you have naturally just start to progress, or was it because of the outside influence of what you were listening to started to seep into your songwriting?
And what were you listening to?
Yeah, most certainly. I mean, I listen to anything and everything. I think I kind of go through phases a lot in my musical taste. But yeah, like kind of just like the geographical influence, Appalachia really did have like a heavy impact on like my style and sound of songwriting. The kind of the things that I wanted to talk about, just even the way I sing, I just kind of started to transition.
Well, I'm curious because Charlie probably knows where I'm going with this, but Tom Petty, being a Floridian, being from Gainesville, was that an influence? Because, country has now paid tribute to him with this full album full of artists.
It wasn't. I think one of my main influences growing up was Springsteen music. My mom was such a huge Springsteen fan, so I was always kind of a Springsteen head as a child, and still today. But I mean, no, most of my influence kind of comes from the singer-songwriter world. I'd say, like Isbell type stuff,
Sure.
Big Thief, artists that are like very lyrically driven music and stuff, and it was really starting to have an impact on kind of like the way I write and how I try to sound and emulate.
Well, you're friends with a guy who's joined us a couple of times that we always love having here, Gabe Lee. So where do you and Gabe meet for the first time?
I started listening to Gabe shortly after he put out his debut record, Farmland, and that was kind of like, like my soundscape for the first 6 months that I was in Asheville. Even through COVID, like just that sound of the record, the tone, the energy, everything about it really kind of helped shape the direction that I wanted to head in musically. Like I knew kind of like what I liked, I knew how to achieve that sound, and just from absorbing, everything that Gabe was doing at the time too, and artists like, King Margo, who he worked with as well, also kind of helped influence, the direction I wanted to head in.
Yeah, and he's a good guy too. Which helps.
Gabe is one of the most down to earth people you'll ever meet in your life. He's a really good guy.
Well, your debut album. You get to say
Yes.
that now.
I know.
First
It's very
full-length
exciting.
album, Road to Nowhere, comes out on Friday. What are you doing special to celebrate it?
We are going out to dinner. One of my wife's and I's favorite restaurants in Nashville, Zaobao, Japanese style like tapas cuisine. Yeah, we rented out a room. We're taking family and friends and label people, and we're gonna go have a nice dinner.
They do
and chow down.
they do sushi too, or
I don't think their menu is always rotating.
Okay.
They have some of their staples, but they always bring in something new. We just had the tuna tartare, I think, a couple weeks ago. It's to die for. It's incredible.
And then Saturday, you're going to play the record from start to finish over in the East Room.
Yeah, we're playing in the East Room on Saturday night. Doors at 7. Show starts at 8. My good friends Sophie Galt and Shlomo Franklin will be opening the show. So yeah, we're going to be playing the record top to bottom, and maybe one or two songs that aren't on the record.
And then a Bluebird gig coming up on the 27th.
Bluebird on August 27th with Mr. Gabe Lee, my buddy Shlomo, and Braxton Keith as well. We're all playing in the round.
I'm curious, sometimes between writing the songs and recording them and the album coming out, it can be, sometimes it's quick, but sometimes it can be a long time. Did you find yourself having to relearn some of the new songs on the new album, or are they pretty ingrained?
I think a lot of it, yeah. I've been playing these songs, a lot of them for years.
Gotcha.
Like
Okay.
some of these songs go back before I even moved to North Carolina. So I've been, and I'd come back and rewritten things from time to time as well. Just as I'd gotten older and, I just learned about life a little more.
Well, give us a backstory on Texas Two-Step.
Texas Two-Step is a real story, very true. My wife and I, when we were kind of deciding what direction we wanted to head in, both of our apartment leases were ending, hers in Philadelphia, mine in North Carolina. And we were just kind of scouting music towns and what direction we wanted to head in terms of my career. And we checked out Austin, live music capital. We were like, let's see how it is. And spent about a week there, close to a week. Found ourselves out in hill country like Fredericksburg, New Braunfels. We ended up at Green Hall, of all places.
Did you make it to Comfort, Texas, my hometown?
Didn't make it to Comfort, Texas.
Well,
but it's on the list.
You had to go through welfare to get to Comfort.
That's the name
You
of
check
the
a
town.
Texas map. That's a true story. And you
love
never
it.
leave Kendall County either, as a matter of fact.
That's funny.
Yeah, we Green Hall. It was a huge inspiration, and just for setting like a visual for the song. And my wife and I, neither of us claim to be dancers. I know people in Texas take the two-step very seriously. But yeah, no, I do. It's one of those songs where it's moments in my life where I've tried to step outside of my comfort zone and try something new. And two-step is just one of those experiences where it just felt, it's so personal to me to talk about trying something new for the first time and being in Texas. And it was very like foundational to our relationship.
Well, Texas Music Hall of Famer Leroy Parnell always said, when people would say to him, Leroy, I went to Texas, New Mexico, Oklahoma, finally got out there on tour. He said, did they like you? I said, well, I think they did. I said, did they dance? Because if they danced, they liked you. This is Texas Two-Step.